While he was president, Grant established the San Carlos Apache Reservation in southeastern Arizona. That was in 1871. The Apaches, Mojaves, and Yumas were all moved from their homelands and relocated to the reservation. Later, separate reservations were created for the different tribes. In the early 1900s, many Native American practices were banned, and some became illegal. As a result, many of them began to diminish. One such practice helped to establish young women in the community and to acknowledge their vital importance and role that women have in the Apache culture. Not only are women strongholds in the Apache family culture, but they are also teachers, and some can even become medicine women. The Apache are matrilineal. Our descendants are traced back through our mothers. My name is Millie. I am full-blooded Apache, and I was born and raised on the San Carlos Reservation. Due to bleak health and poor environmental conditions, the reservation became known as Hell's 40 Acres. And like everybody else, my boyfriend Thomas and I wanted to get away, go to the States and try to make our lives better. So we purchased false birth certificates and identification that showed we were Hispanics, born in the United States. We had settled in the San Luis Valley by the late 1800s, and we were happy. By this point, the Homestead Act of 1862 had been well established, and ranching had become a way of life for many. Many ranching and cowboy techniques grew out of Hispanic cultures. At the time, styles of clothing, living, and farming seemed to be a combination of European, early American, Hispanic, Spanish, and Native American cultures all mixed together. Several Apache traditions could still be used, though represented in a different way. Some symbols and conventional themes like circles, the 4 Apache colors, and ways of riding horses had to adapt to new materials that could still reference my culture. You see, circles are used to represent homes. Our homes are traditionally round in shape. The circle is also represented through dances and ceremonies. We perform them in a circle. The movement of the moon, the stars, and the sun across the sky is circular. Life paths for humans and creatures from birth to death is also circular. Sacred hoops and symbols were used to depict the circle. The hoops were used during ceremonies, and they were known to possess healing and protective powers. They could also be used to bless individuals. The 4 Apache colors that are often shown are black, green, sometimes blue for different tribes, yellow, and white. The 4 colors represent the 4 directions, the major divisions of the day, and the 4 seasons. And since I had become a rancher, I could continue riding horses as my people had always done. And I had always loved horses. So, after Thomas and I married and settled in the San Luis Valley, I got myself a beautiful, high-spirited, shiny black horse. I loved that horse, and he loved me. So much so he wouldn't let anybody else ride him. He'd buck off anyone who tried. One day, my husband Thomas decided he would break my horse for anyone to ride it. He only lasted a few moments before being thrown off onto the side of a boulder. He died on the spot. I had become a widow then. A widow with property and a large dowry, and I was courted often by the young men of the valley. So I married Jose, my second husband, and we got along very well. Things were good until the day he too decided he wanted to break my horse and thought that it needed to be put to good use and should be ridden by more than one person. Well, when Jose climbed up on the horse, it started stomping the ground and bucking and snorting. And before I knew it, Jose was on the ground. And he too met the same demise as my first husband. I was a widow once again, with property, and continued to be sought after by the local men of the valley. For many years I had been living between 2 worlds, an Apache woman posing as a Hispanic rancher. And as time went on, my life path began to circle closer to my Apache heritage. Francisco became my 3rd husband. He had won my heart. See, he had ridden with Pancho Villa in 1914 and had become part of the famed Dorados, the golden ones. The Dorados were well known for attacking at full gallop from their charging horses. This method of warfare had originally been perfected by my people. Among other things, we were well known for our astounding endurance and skillful warfare techniques. Well, Francisco was a cunning and wise soldier, and he knew exactly what he needed to do after the wedding. Once married, he promptly went out to the corral, took out his rifle, and shot my beloved horse.
Smart guy.
Can't blame him. I didn't like what he had done, and I certainly missed my horse. But I guess he had a point. Soon after, Francisco sold the ranch and moved us here to Pueblo, where we had many, many happy years. I became a midwife for my neighborhood, and I practiced as a medicine woman, healing sick children with traditional Apache methods. And I never tired of telling the story of my beloved horse and husband.